Oh, sorry, Corey.
You're all right. These just the changes in?
Yeah, I emailed them to everybody, but I know
Yeah.
some of you too.
I didn't get the email.
Good, good.
I'm old.
Hey, I know.
I
can't see it either,
My
so.
office if you want to.
Thank you. You don't have to read all the numbers, that's the good news.
That is true.
Unless you really want to, but.
Well, thank you, Miss Judy.
So are we short a driver now?
We've actually kind of got, Sharon and I kind of talked about it this morning. I think Mr. Armbrecht wanted to drive for the afternoon.
Well,
And then, somebody to do just that for a tech class. She's got my insurance, and I get you.
I've not had anything.
Okay, pretty easy.
Does anybody need a pen? I have extras.
I gave them all one tonight. I know, brand new one. So when you go in there, that little thing, and there's no black ones, and there's only black ones and blue ones, it's because I took them all.
Okay.
Hi, Miss Ruth, how are you?
Good.
How's your summer going?
yeah, the one I got from him. Yeah, well,
Going fast?
Yeah.
You did some remodeling? You've been at the house with the kids?
No, they get in Friday.
You're going Friday?
They get their
Oh,
house
they get
Friday.
in Friday, okay.
About the time for me to go back to work, they'll get there.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, not yet.
He's in
I
your
gave her-
seat?
I gave her a dirty look. She's been noisy.
I feel like I'd be great.
Andy has been to both borders of the state of Oklahoma today.
Pretty close.
The bottom one and the top one.
nice.
See it all.
Where was I at? I was at a baseball tournament.
Take
And
your
there's
shoes off.
an
What,
organization
this
called the
hallway?
Shockers, and they're all
That
flying
is
out
the
south.
Mhm.
And there was a boy playing
Walk
from
really
Bing.
careful. Are you,
Can't
if you're going to
remember
teacher's
his
lounge.
name. But there was one from Bing. Hey, somebody that was up there.
You're good. I didn't even ask to ask her. She walked in it. Nobody shot at me, so. Yeah, yeah. Put some barefoot prints on it. I'm not scared of her. He said he'd be here. He said he would, but he's got family coming in tonight, and I told him that if it got to a point where he needed to leave, then
Yeah.
he could leave. I said we just need to be sure to have a quorum.
We definitely have that.
Are they just coming in for, or something else?
Just a reunion or something? Do you have a reunion or something?
I don't know. Some friends flying in for the 4th and from Fort Lauderdale. And his oldest daughter is leaving tomorrow for second duty in Kuwait. C-17 Loadmaster, which is like the huge cargo plane. Should be there.
Who's doing that?
A buddy of mine's daughter.
Oh.
It's great.
Wow,
To be there 100, second deployment.
yeah. So you're fixing to head up for vacation to your mom's?
Yeah, that's the plan, around the 17th or so, we'll give or take when the hay's up.
Listen, we know what you're doing all the time.
Oh, I
Because
believe
your
it.
grandpa tells us.
I believe it. I don't.
Sometimes it's 3 times if we're all 3 in there.
Well, I'm glad everybody's informed.
We know what's going on.
And I'm sorry about your bowel troubles. No.
Only Judy would come up with that.
Well, let's go ahead and say the pledge and quick prayer and just a meeting once we're not too late. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow with me. Father God, we just thank you for this opportunity to serve on this board, for a way for us to give back to our community. We continue to ask for your guidance and direction. We ask that you continue to raise up Donna and TJ as they fight their battles. And we thank you for continuing to get good news there. Just continue to bless Cherokee Public Schools and everybody involved, and continue to keep us healthy and safe. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Prayers accepted. Appreciate it. I'm gonna sit just close, 'cause
Yeah, this seat's a little more.
I
I need
My
another.
skirt.
I don't know why I got swapped around. I didn't.
Oh, no.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. It's 7:01. Judy, you can take roll. And number 2, consent, approval of the consent agenda. All the following items which concern reports and items of routine nature normally approved at board meetings will be approved by one vote unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on or any of all these items. The consent agenda consists of discussion, consideration, and approval of the following A through O. And if you haven't had time to look through those, take your time.
Your chairs are better than mine. I think that probably you've already seen the financials. Everything, we're very healthy. We're very looking forward to going into next year. We know where our issues lie, and hopefully we'll be taken care of in September with bond. And I couldn't be more pleased with all the things that we've done this year for kids and for our staff. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. And we did have 2 resignations. Kelly went to work for Great Salt Plains, very happy for her. And Tyler went to work for the county, so we're happy for him. Hi. How are you?
Good. We're just looking through the consent agenda, A through O, and we should have got those in your email.
I couldn't open everything.
Are you having trouble with your email? Do you want to bring it to school and we can
Yeah,
try to figure it out?
yeah. I'd bring up the email, but then it wouldn't
Wouldn't open
wouldn't open anything.
That's fine.
Amanda did something last time, so.
Yeah, she can fix anything. I know this.
Well, if anybody else, does anybody have any questions, concerns, gripes, groans, complaints, A through O? Motion to approve. Members made a motion, do I have a second? I'll second. Judy?
Littlefield,
Yes?
Allison,
Yes.
Heller,
Yes.
Willhite.
Yes.
Number 3, board to consider and take possible action in the absence, oh, well, I guess we don't need to do that one since we're here, right?
Yep.
So we can skip that one. Moving on, number 4, board to consider and take action on a resolution authorizing the calling and holding of a special election to be held in the school district to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds.
Okay,
You guys know Andy?
we're back again. We're here last month, and I passed out the schedule. I think everyone should have a copy somewhere. It's the same schedule we got last month. Numbers haven't changed, projects haven't changed. We talked about this will be a September 12th election date, which I think will be an advantageous day for a couple of reasons. One, it's the beginning of the school year. There's usually some positive excitement as school year starts. Nothing really bad's happened yet, so hopefully everyone's still in a good mood when that happens. Also, it gives you a good opportunity. People are going to be coming back through the school that time of year anyways to meet the teacher, pick up schedules, back to school night, whatever it is. Give you an opportunity to already have people in the school. You can meet with them, talk to them, let them know what you're planning to do. Sometimes that's the hardest part of an election, is getting the actual facts to the people, letting it out from you all. So that'll be a good time just from that perspective too. But looking at the schedule real quick, just to give you kind of a review. Left-hand side, these are roughly our annual bond sales. The thin black line above that, those are the bonds already sold. So below that are bonds left to be sold. The two different colored fonts, the blue and the red, those just tie back to particular elections. So the blue is our previous election that we've already passed, that we're in the current middle of our series. And the red, would be our new series that we're proposing in September. And so if you add all those red numbers up there on the left side, up here at the top, you'll see 7.5 million. So that's what the vote total will be. It's down a little bit from the last election. I think Donna had a couple of projects out, just minor things here and there, but pretty much the same project as last time with maybe a few subtractions. And so that would be our vote total, and you can see it runs out, if you're all the way to the bottom, through 2027. So 10 years, same term as we had last time, nothing different about that. We did get more conservative with our growth rate, as far as our valuation growth. Before we had built in some, pretty minor annual growth on that. This time we have no growth. So this is just keeping the growth flat over that period of time. And again, keeping the millage rate or the tax rate where it's supposed to have been to the last election. 22 mils is our target millage rate. And you can see this should keep us at 22 mils flat throughout the life of that. And of course, the big driving factor there is your valuation. As it goes up or down, that can adjust those numbers. But it's something we try to look at every year and adjust if we can. The hard part is when you have big swings one or the other you didn't see coming, because you're always selling before it actually gets there. But so we'll try to work with you guys in the county assessor on it so we kind of stay ahead of that as we move forward. And so the first bond issue this past, we would sell one this fall. I've got November there. It might be dated December, but sometime this fall, just to get the first one done, to have some money in hand and ready to spend on some of those projects. And then immediately following that, or sometime following that, you tell me depending on your time frame, we would do our lease purchase, where we get all the money up front to do all the projects now, do all the projects, and then each year as we sell those bonds, use that to pay back lease purchase, just like you're doing now with the blue series. You sell the bonds now, but you're not building anything with that, you're just repaying your current debt. This would be the same thing in that case.
One of the things that I kind of touched on a little while ago was perhaps changing the direction that we were going to go with the roof and doing some type of a pitch as opposed to the membrane that will do a covering. And when I took it back to the architects, it was going to be about $1 million more. And we don't have the bonding capacity right now to do that. So the bonds has the original membrane in it as opposed to a pitch. And that we can discuss that with Andy and kind of ask any questions if you have them. It's just what you can afford, and right now what we can afford because of bonding capacity is to go ahead and do a membrane correctly. It'll have the masonry work, and it'll be done the way that it's supposed to be done. And then what kind of put us in a bind the last time was that if we go up there on our own and we start filling it with caulk or whatever, we void our warranty. And so it doesn't mean somebody's not going to come out and help you fix it, but if you completely see that it's a terrible job, they're going to say, listen, our warranty was that you would let us fix these things and we're not going to replace this. So we won't be going up there doing anything to it. And we'll make sure that if something is wrong, the people who install it can fix it. This bond also includes upgrades to the playground, like we had before. Some safety issues. It also includes one-to-one technology for children. So we'll have Chromebooks at the upper levels and we'll have iPads at the lower level. We're going to obviously finish paying for the complex, which is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if you guys have been by to see the two new buildings, but they're amazing. We had, what do you think, Bryce? How many people did we have in that facility?
2,000 people there at one time.
2,000 people at one time. And what a wonderful way to break in the concession stand and the bathrooms. I think there are relatively few problems. And the sewer, any concerns we had about the sewer, went good. Nothing clogged up and backed up into the streets. So that was done correctly. But we did modify some things on this bond. we're coming at it a lot more conservatively, and we're trying to, just let everybody understand that we need what we're asking for, and we definitely need to complete paying for what we have out there.
Does anybody else have any questions for Andy outside of the table? Anybody?
Any questions?
Now would be a good time to ask. You drove a long one.
Not right now, maybe after.
Good enough.
All right.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion on the resolution authorizing the calling of the special election.
I'll second.
TJ second. Judy?
Littlefield,
Yes?
Allison,
Yes.
Heller,
Yes.
Willhite,
Yes.
Number 5, board to consider and take action on a motion approving the renewal of the sublease agreement for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018, as required under the provisions of the sublease agreement dated August 1st, 2014, between the District of Alfalfa County Educational Facilities Authorities.
Do you want to stop a minute and get some signatures?
If you guys want to, that'd be great.
Yeah, that way, Andy can get on the
Yeah,
road.
yeah.
There's just 3, so it shouldn't take too long.
Do his tour of the state of Oklahoma.
Sorry about that.
That's all right, there's 3 copies there. There's 5 of the other, so I think we'll just agencies. Okay.
Thank you so much, Andy, for all your help.
Sure. All right, and just start down the right spots and then motion second.
We can take a quick recess too if you guys, if you or Kyle need to talk to Andy before he leaves.
That's
Right,
okay.
it's really
I
not
think
straight from the
I
paper.
get everything I
Okay,
need
okay.
afterward.
I just want to give you the opportunity before he
Thank
takes
you.
off.
I appreciate
Right down the
it.
here.
Write down all of them, and then we'll just put absent by the ones that aren't.
Donna,
Still
do you have a list of everything that the bond would go to board?
I do. I didn't bring it in tonight, but I can print that off for you.
Okay, or maybe just Facebook me or something
Yeah,
before
yeah,
tomorrow.
I can do that. Yeah, that'd be great. It's basically the same bond, but just we added technology and took out some gym stuff. But
Okay.
I'll email it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Sure am.
I went by the complex today, I'm like, oh, finally rain.
Agreed to that.
So pretty.
We needed that.
That's time for another one.
Yeah, it doesn't take long, but it's under.
Easy now.
I'll wait till the end of the week.
I'm wearing the half section down right now. I'll make it rain.
It'll be dry by this evening. Right there. That's the problem. Thank you, that's it. I'll get these, yep, I'll get these filed this week, and then I'll be in touch with you about stuff going forward.
Okay, the election board came by.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she came by just about some housekeeping things.
Okay.
She was very nice and,
Yep.
so,
I actually called her today and told her we'd be coming by this week, so she wasn't caught off guard, at least they know we're coming too, so.
okay.
we should be
And,
good.
I don't know, have you talked to the county assessor's office? to them?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
No.
Well, I just want to make sure that they're informed and,
Okay.
you know. that-
Do you want me to call her?
Yeah, if you'll just give.
I'd be happy to.
No, actually, let's just.
Once she calls me?
Yeah.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, if she calls you, you want to just pass her on to me, that's fine too, so.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah. I'll stick out here. Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Be careful.
Be
Thanks.
safe.
I will.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, back to 5, board to consider, I read it all.
That is just our yearly vote
Thanks.
to keep going with the $4.5 million bond that started the whole project. We just have to approve our lease purchases once a year.
Okay.
Motion approved.
Tony's made a motion.
Second.
TJ second. Judy?
Littlefield,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Heller,
Yes.
Willhite,
Yes.
So that'll come up every year until the, okay, it's paid. Number 6, board to consider and take action on a motion approving the renewal of the lease agreement for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018, as required under the provisions of the lease agreement dated October 1st, 2015, December 17th, 2015, between the district and Farmers Exchange Bank.
Okay. And those are the 2 lease purchases that we've done with our Farmers Exchange to
Right.
finish the contract.
Motion.
Tony motion, TJ second, Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Heller?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes. Number 7, vote to approve or not to approve the milk bid for the 17-18.
We get one bid.
Second. TJ motion, I second, Judy?
Heller?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Only the brown.
Littlefield?
Yes. Number 8, vote to approve or not to approve the contract with Kinokla for the 17-18 school year.
They do a great job.
Yeah. Amber's motion,
Second.
Tony second, Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Heller?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
And number 9, discussion and vote to approve the student handbook changes for the 17-18 school year. Bryce handed out some changes there. You can do them.
And I'll just give you kind of a little background. I visited with our principals, early spring and said, I would like to see us have some type of a step system
Mhm.
where there's a little more black and white to when you come in, what you've done, this is the process. And it also puts it back on the kids to have a little bit more self-awareness of where they are. And I know that if I go in again, this is what's going to happen. If I go in this many times, I'll probably get to stay at home a little bit. So I'm really excited about what Bryce is going to talk to me about today. The concerns I have are, okay, so tell me what the appeals process is and how does that work? And he explained that to me and tell me how it works for, a child who is special needs, and he explained that to me. But one of the things that it will do also is, I think when our teachers kind of get a hold of this, they're really going to understand that classroom management is going to be very important, that the principals are there for everything that they need, but they really need to make sure that the little things like you don't have your pencil or you don't have stay within the classroom, within the management system, within their classroom. Because once they go to the office, they're going to get a classification on that. So it really needs to be something that is office worthy as opposed to, like I said, a pencil or something like that. And I'm not saying that some kids don't have the ability to have the last straw and it just happened to be a pencil. I'm just saying that we're going to try to put a system in place that's a little more equitable for everyone. I will turn it over to Mr. Schonbacher.
Like she said, she has us to look into this, and so step policy. I actually took this from one of the area schools around here, and this is what they've used for about the last 10 years. And visiting with their principal, he had nothing but good things to say about this because it kind of gives you that black and white. This is what's going to happen. There's always going to be a little gray area in every circumstance, and so obviously there's going to be some considerations taken in, and that's outlined at the top there. Really putting all of this in the handbook. I've been over this several times, and I really feel like this has covered all the bases. I will tell you, I have sent this in to the OSSBA to have them review it to make sure that everything's legal and on the up and up, and there's not any issues there. We just haven't got any word back from them yet. The lady that's going to review it didn't get back from vacation until today.
And because of that, what we'll do is it will approve it pending OSSBA, review.
And, this isn't, I guess the first thing I want to say is, I don't feel like that we're not taking this step because things are out of control by any means. We want to make sure that kids understand when they come here what the expectations are, parents understand what the expectations are, but it also, you know, it lays it out there in black and white that, you know, if you do this and you come into the office, you know, for whatever the first circumstance may be, we're going to be able to tell them, you know, pretty clearly, look, if you come back, this is what's going to happen. And so by making that the policy, it takes kind of some of that gray area out of it, and just gives us a lot more structure and consistency on how we handle and deal with situations. Class 1, 2, and 3 offenses is how it's organized there. You know, one thing that stuck out to me that I want to make sure and mention is with the in-school suspension. Anytime that's given, it's stated in there that the student will not participate in any extracurricular activities until that has been carried out. And before that, it also says that it will be followed through the next day after the inappropriate behavior was performed. Now, you know, there's one of those instances that kind of depends on what time of day that behavior occurs, because if it's early in the morning, chances are they're going to get placed in ISS immediately to follow through with that. And the student will not participate in any extracurricular activities, and that's something that they need to understand, because if it's late in the day and this behavior happens, and there's a ball game that night and they've been assigned to ISS, they will not play in the ball game until that next day they've served their in-school suspension. And throughout that day, then it's over with.
Question, on that first offense in class 1, it says conflict with student, parent, or guardian, or 1 day of ISS. Is the parent or guardian still going to be notified of that situation, or is that going to be left up to the student to tell the parent?
Yes, I mean, we'll notify the parent. We've always been very good, I think, about making sure that if we get a student in the office for a disciplinary reason, we make every attempt to contact the parent.
So is that just under the discretion of who's giving out the punishment, whether it's going to be just a conference, or is it going to be, depending on the severity of the...
Right.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, and it could be, you know, it could be a combination. If we've got a student and, you know, one of those things on there, they get caught cheating and the teacher brings them down there, you know, a good talk with the student if that's the first offense, and, you know, a conversation with them, and contact the parent, let them know that they were in there that day, and that was the reason. And that's really kind of what we've done anyway. I mean, we handle a lot of those. This is just giving us the map, what's going to happen from that point forward if it happens again, and kind of clears that up a little bit. You know, the class 2 stuff gets a little more serious. Those are some of the things that we deal with occasionally, not often.
So intimidation is a higher class than fighting?
Let's see, we're
Class 2 would be under, like fighting would be a class 2, and then, I mean,
where are you looking for?
class 3 would be, says harassment, intimidation, and bullying.
Right. Well, here's what we need to understand, and these are, you know, conversations that Jeremy and I, you know, we have a lot, because bullying is a very strong word, and it can get used a lot, and it's sometimes, to be frank, it's just thrown around to get attention. And we have a policy. And so anytime that we have any students or parents that are upset about that, they're informed of that policy, and what that is it's paperwork. They can come, they can fill out papers, we perform an investigation and go through all the steps and all of that to determine if bullying was really what was going on there.
And that's legislative, that's not
Yeah.
anything, that's,
Right.
every school should be doing that,
Yeah.
have it processed.
So the harassment, the intimidation, and bullying.
Kind of go hand in hand.
If it goes through those steps and then go through that paperwork process, and that's what we find as a result of that, then yeah.
On the class one, talked about the unauthorized use of cell phone. Do we even allow phones in the classroom? Are they even
Yes.
supposed to be in classrooms?
Do we enforce it?
Well, here's the thing, they can have them. It's left up to the teachers to enforce. They should be put away and not used. If the teachers allow them to use, and it's supposed to be for an educational reason, then they can use it. If they get caught with it, all the teachers have their individual policies, but basically, they get it taken away, it'll be brought to the office, and it can be picked up at the end of the day.
I think it's hard because there's a fine line anymore between using it for research or, educational, and a teacher needs to have the ability to say that's okay in the classroom, but if they also need to be able to say, we put them away today, and if you get it out, there's a consequence to it.
Yeah, teachers have the ability to
Yeah.
control it.
Yeah, and that's just, that's a growing up process with children. The learning of when things are appropriate, when they're not. And they're kids, and they're gonna make mistakes, and sometimes they're gonna have it out when they're not supposed to, and these guys do a really good job of kind of policing that.
So I guess I got two questions and a comment.
Okay.
Now, obviously, I see in a lot of these, we got first offense, second offense, third offense. Now, if it's an extreme enough problem, we don't have to go through the steps, we can jump right to.
Well, if it's
the most
that
severe.
extreme, more than likely, you're looking at something that's probably gonna fall underneath one of the.
We're not gonna
the
give them
class
3
or
opportunities
something
to,
like that.
okay.
Right, and so, that's, that's where hopefully that your repeat offenders,
Yeah.
that come in. Here's the thing, and this, I really hope that everybody would understand it and see it this way. I know it won't always be this way, but really, this isn't going to be there to catch them and to give them trouble. This is trying to be proactive, and so if that kid comes in and says, look, you need to straighten up or this is going to happen, and hopefully through that, and then knowing that this is going to happen, and it will, that behavior will stop, and so we don't have to get to that point. And, it's more about the discipline is being disciplined in that it's not punishment. That's not what we're trying to focus on. We're trying to focus on getting them to act right and do what they're supposed to do, and we don't have to worry about all this stuff. But it's not going to be perfect, and we're going to have cases, and we're going to have discipline problems.
I guess my other question would be, under class 4, common sense, we're sitting here saying possession or threat of or use of a gun, we're going to call, we're going to get law enforcement apparent, it's pretty severe, obviously. Are we, we're going to use common sense, if we're talking about a rubber band gun, or I didn't know if we needed to,
Well,
this
those-
does allow for.
Those are going to be things that are circumstantial, and, there is a lot of common sense that goes into things, but,
You know what I'm saying?
right. And that's, it's a good question, because, here's the thing, if
I want
something
to be
like
like
that happens.
a no tall,
Well, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna talk about
Yeah.
what's going on and what's best for the kid and the situation and what was done, because this is gonna happen at the elementary. Kid brings a water gun from home or something and takes it out to the playground.
What's a big wrap of
Yeah.
rubber band,
Right.
is that a gun?
Right, so, again, every circumstance is probably gonna be different, and I think that, hypothetically.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was curious. I just want to make sure we weren't tying our hands behind our backs,
No.
saying, well, regardless,
No, and.
no
you know,
nonsense policy, this is
here's
what
the
we're doing.
thing. Let's just say, for instance, we had a case like that, Lori, and because of, the laws that state that if, any kind of weapons or anything like that, kid could be suspended for up to 1 year. However, there is an appeal process to that, and in that, it does state that that falls under a long-term suspension, and so basically, through the process of an appeal, the suspension can be overturned or modified by the board if it gets to that point. So, that's kind of where, we're showing that we're a team. Because if this policy says this is what I have to do, that's what I'm going to do. That doesn't mean that that's, the kid's going to be suspended for a whole entire year because they brought the rubber band gun.
So if a rubber
Because
band
that's what
gun
we're
comes
talking
up, we're probably going to hear about it. And we'll
Well,
have to talk about it.
If it gets through them, and then it gets to me, and it's a rubber band gun, there's something wrong.
Right.
I think that kind of what Bryce is trying to say is that when a circumstance comes in, they use some common sense.
Okay. That's all I was just,
Yeah.
I just, sometimes when you set rules, it's pretty cut or dry, and then
Yeah,
you
we don't want to ever
sometimes,
put ourselves in a corner.
sometimes
No.
you're putting yourself in a corner.
No, this, like I said, really what this is gonna do is just, this is gonna give us some structure and some consistency to follow. And there's always gonna be, and Jeremy and I, anytime something comes up, and we visit with Donna too sometimes, when things come out, we try to put our heads together and we really, try to think things through. And, you're not gonna have a kid that just comes in because they got their pencil and well, it's the second time you know what I mean?
Right.
So there's gotta be some of that too.
Yeah.
But, this just gives us some stuff to follow here and puts it in there a little bit clearer than just saying that it's up to the principal's discretion to use one to follow.
And we will, during back to school night, we'll be having 1 to 2 sessions during that time where parents can go and they can listen and they can ask questions and they can kind of talk about it with the administrators. Because we want to make sure that parents aren't like in total shock when my kid comes out, well, I'm on strike 3 and I'm out, or, So we do plan to get some education out there for parents.
First, just, I'm not beating this up, but I think it's a great idea.
No,
I just want
I
to
think
make sure
that's
you
why
got
we need,
room
that's
to
why we
breathe.
want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good stuff. We just want to make sure we're not tying our hands on it.
One other thing in there, corporal punishment, we talked about that towards the end of school. There's a whole paragraph in there about it that it is recognized. We have forms that the parents have to sign in order for us to do that. I will tell you, most of the time, it's a last resort. Honestly, there's just a whole lot of liability these days with that. So it is recognized, and sometimes we have parents that will request that. But,
If they get
So-
to pass out the statement.
We used to have to make our own paddles.
yeah, right.
Shop, I drove out.
Anyway, so that's outlined in there, like she said, students with disabilities, that's addressed in there. And there's a little bit more detail there.
And like Bryce and I talked about it, we can try something, and if it doesn't work, we
Yeah.
can amend it and we can change it. But I think that what we'll find after the initial year is that the consistency, everybody likes it, and likes to be able to know what's coming next and what's gone on. But the first year will be different because it's not something that we've done.
This is a pretty large change for what we have currently,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's very detailed
Yeah.
compared to what we have.
Kind of vague and full of a lot of gray area. Anything else, Bryce?
The semester test policy. This is my proposal. I didn't put that on there, so I made these. This has got a little chicken scratch notes on there that I wrote down there. So our policy right now for semester test is that if they have, they can be exempt. Basically, my proposal is that we take that out and that all of our 7th through 12th grade students will be required to take semester tests.
Okay, say that one more time, I'm sorry.
So basically, it's just taking out the exemption policy.
Okay.
Where if they have an A and 3, they're exempt. To B and 2, that means a C and 1. So we took that out, and then all of our 7th through 12th grade, and that's not in there. And that's, that's something that if we do decide to do this and go that route, my thinking is with the 6th graders over here, I don't know that they, I don't know if they need to be taking a bunch of finals. That's, I don't know, I'd like some input on that, but I think our 7th through 12th graders can handle that for sure.
So these changes aren't included in what the current handbook changes right now. These are a proposal for future changes?
Right, this
Okay.
is what, I just took out what we have for semester tests in our handbook and rewrote it.
Okay. But you're not trying to get these approved on?
Yes.
Okay, you are, okay.
Yeah, yeah, if we approve this, then this will go
This will
into
go
effect this year.
with this?
Yeah.
Okay, understand.
So, and, the reason that we did the exemptions was to try to promote better attendance.
Mhm.
But honestly, I don't think that it's doing its job. Kids that are gonna miss more than those days, they're very aware of how many days they've missed. And when they get close, it's just, well, I've already got too many, I'm taking my test anyway. And so, it's not important to them anymore. So kind of what Don and I discussed a little bit ago, and this is where I just kind of wrote it in there in the margins, because I didn't have the time to type it up just yet after we talked, but, and I don't know that this part that I have handwritten there would need to be policy. But what I'd like to see us do is develop some type of an attendance trip, like our AR trips that we give our kids that meet those goals, so that those students that do have, say, a 3.5 GPA and have 90% or better attendance on all their classes, we have an incentive at the end of the year to do something with them, some type of educational type trip for that. But our high school kids, and I've talked to Mrs. Jordan about this quite a bit, I don't feel like there's one thing, the ones that go to college especially are going to have to take comprehensive tests. I can remember my first year in college, my very first biology test was over 11 chapters, and I about panicked because I was not used to that. I was exempt from most of my semester tests when I went through school, and I didn't have to take those. So, I think that if we're going to really try to challenge our kids and prepare them for life after high school, I think that's a part of it. I think that we need to,
Well, a lot of people believe that, the kids have to take so many tests already, but I also hear on a broken record that everybody says that, oh, I'm no good at taking tests. Well,
and there is that part of it, but there's also has to be some different perspective, and I think that's where us as a school, if we do this, we've got to start building some confident test takers, so that they're not afraid of those tests, so that they feel confident when they go in there, and they can look forward to it in a sense, to go show off a little bit about what they've learned. And I think that that's part of our responsibility to create that in our students, and I think this is one way that we can do that. I'm not trying to do this to, kill a kid's grade at the end. And I put in there that it could count for 10% of the total. I do think we need to put something on it like that, that's
Some skin in the game.
kind of across the board, so that math isn't counting 25% of the total grade, and for example, history is 5%. So I threw that in there at 10%, and if that's the magic number, I asked Mr. Lyon if he thought that was a pretty good number, and he felt like that was pretty fair to do that.
One of the things too, I kind of want to interject is that the state is going to move towards the ACT as the exit test, or some form of that, work key or something. We have to, so what that means is that our whole curriculum at the high school level is going to be changing. They're going to have to start gearing their lectures, their academics toward getting these kids to pass the ACT at whatever number is put out there. So changing it, we've had a 10-year span where these kids have had not much direction when we were going Common Core, and then we didn't go Common Core. Now we have the state standards, and they've been changed, and we still don't have, we don't have solid assessments for those yet. That it's coming this year. So to implement this now will support us being able to encourage those kids to take and pass that ACT test, because they're going to have to in some way anyway. And we talked about it at length. I've always been, don't penalize the good kids, because that's what this is taking away from the kids who do it right. And it's just, there's got to be something for those kids. But it's also, academically, it's also hurting them, because they're not being challenged and they're not having to retain. So that's why we came up with, there's got to be something for those kids. We've got to do something, whether it's a trip or it's something that we do, because, and we also this year are implementing a attendance coordinator. Cassie Hare at the elementary will be taking over, calling everybody by noon whose child is not in school. And because attendance is now going to be part of the A through F system, a big part of it. So we have got to get those kids here, whether they're going to be exempt or not. They're going to have to come to school. So I really, like I said, we struggled with, what's the best thing to do all the way around. And I think that Bryce has done a good job with the 10% isn't something that's crippling. And I feel like giving them something at the end of the year, or something that is a good trip, not make it worthwhile. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but I think if our goals are to increase our academics, then we need to take some steps toward that, and I think that is a step. Now this is discussion time. If you have your own kids, you know what their limitations are, you know what their strengths are. So this is the time to kind of say what you think.
High school. What's your thoughts?
I am not a good example to use. My son is. I think the semester testing is a good thing.
Well, because for the ones that are academically there, there is a will to learn it and dump it, purge all that information out. They're not going to need it. They're very fast.
Kind of another way to see if the kids are learning, to retain, even if they are first semester, with the learning what they should be.
Well, and hopefully, with the teachers, knowing that all the students are going to be required to take a semester test at the end. I mean, there'll be some, not teaching to the test, but some focus on that, and with some pre-test and establishing, which we do a lot of that stuff with Alpha Plus and doing that. So, we can kind of almost use that in the sense of a springboard into our other subject areas that we don't do that with.
It's kind of reevaluates where you're at as a teacher, where somebody's needs more. Anybody else?
you know, students will rise to what their expectations are.
That's right.
Everybody will. I will, teachers will, administrators will. And so if we say our expectations are that you are successful with the semester test, then kids will do that.
I did put some things in there along with this that, because we have some issues, it seems like at Christmas time more so, that when kids are required to take those tests, they say, well, I can't be there that day. And so Jeremy and I both felt like we really need to have something in the handbook that addresses that, because it's kind of scattered. At one point, some teachers were okay with making arrangements and letting them take those tests early, and some were not. And so by doing this, we put it in there that they have to have it in writing and request that a week in advance. Now, there are emergency situations that come up. We did have one of those actually at the end of the school year. And so the student got with us and worked it out with us, and we worked with the teachers, and they took their semester test, and that was fine. But
So if this passes, this sets this in stone, the semester test will count for 10% of the grade, or are you guys still trying to kind of mold that, or you're still discussing that?
I feel like 10% is where it needs to be.
And if it does pass, and if we do pass this here in a little bit, and if you have further discussions with Donna or whoever, and you feel like maybe it needs to be a different number, we can always amend that, correct?
Sure.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
As far as the handbook goes, like I said, those were the two big changes. Everything else was just maybe cleaning up some language. It wasn't changing any policies. And like Donna said, we've got it sent down to the OSSBA. They'll go through it. Jeremy and I attended a workshop at the end of the school year on handbooks. And so I tried to kind of go through it. There was a parent bill of rights. We have to just mention that in the handbook. We don't have to print it out and all of that, but it needs to be in there that they know they've been made aware. So I did add that, and Mrs. Gordon went through and updated the graduation requirements and all that kind of stuff. So as long as the OSSBA doesn't tell us we're
Illegal.
off our rocker for some reason.
So are we making our policies
should be fine.
thinner or thicker?
Oh, that's just one little part of it all.
So we really can't approve it tonight.
You
Yeah,
can
we-
approve it pending
Pending
OSSAA
OSSAA.
review.
Any other discussion on the student handbook changes? I'll make a motion that we approve the discipline control pages, pending OSSBA approval, along with the semester test. Seconded. Tony, second. Judy?
Littlefield,
Yes?
Allison?
Yes.
Heller?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Number 10, proposed executive session to discuss the employment of support staff, extra duty assignments for the school year 17-18, so that the board can return to open session and vote to employ or not to employ the support staff on a temporary contract 17-18. This executive session permitted by 25 OS 307B1. Amber's made a motion. TJ second. Number 12, Amber's made the motion to return. I'll second it.
Littlefield,
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Heller?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Time?
8:37. Number 13,
During executive session, we discussed the employment of support staff and extra duty assignments for the school year 2017-2018.
thank you. Number 14, vote to employ or not to employ Bill Rubin on a temporary support contract for the 17-18 school year.
Motion to approve.
Amber's motion, TJ second, Judy?
Littlefield?
Yes.
Willhite?
Yes.
Heller?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Number 15, board to consider and take possible action to move funds from activity account 837 class of 2014, 717, 183, and 838, class of 2015, $57.22 to activity account 840. Beautification, thus closing activity account 837, 838, as the obligation for those funds have been met.
2014 had that much money left over?
Yeah, it does.
Holy cow.
So we're just gonna combine those.
I know.
They wanted to do something else, but they didn't get their findings in here, so.
Oh.
On
And then-
motion? Oh, go
You
ahead.
got a motion, go ahead.
Did you have something else to say? I'm
I was
sorry.
just gonna say that it's gonna go to account, and what we use that beautification account for is like, just things around the
Yeah.
school that need to be done that, can kind of come out of activity as opposed to general, so.
My motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Give it to Tony. Judy?
Willhite?
Yes.
Littlefield?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Heller?
Yes.
Number 16, principal's report.
Oh,
You got Ruth. A lot going on.
Me, sorry. Not much going on right now, just kind of
Sounds like
wrapping things
quick.
up. Yeah, I know. Still working on that kindergarten building,
You'll say
slowly
the
but
building
surely.
is
It's
all
not
else
quite
needs to be
done.
done.
Went over there today, they were scraping up the carpet, and they're gonna
They're
put some layer.
trying to put the carpet down, I think, but they're gonna do some floor work maybe, is that what?
Yeah, and then we've got new fountains going, water fountains going in for them, that'll just be in their room.
They're in. Yeah, did you see?
With the-
Yeah,
with the
with the bottle
bottle
fillers, yeah. Everything's
That's
done but the
cool.
carpet and Mr. Atkins.
That's awesome.
Waiting on the sinks in first grade. They're special ordered and behind, I don't know where they are.
No, the big ticket items in before school starts.
School
Well,
supplies.
school supplies, we're trying to,
Narrow that down.
yeah.
And we have had a donation from Ken Oakwood for.
Really?
for those
Cool.
supplies.
Yeah, Canopla and
ACB
ACB Bank.
ACB.
Really?
I didn't know that.
And, do we get it? AC?
We haven't
AEC yet?
Not yet.
Okay. And we,
That's
got that roundup thing from AEC.
That's
Surely
awesome.
that'll take a lot of pressure off teachers to, for some students who maybe don't have supplies.
right. So Amanda and I had sat down the other day and tried to find good deals on where to order stuff from.
I think that's
So we need to just make that announcement soon.
Okay. Well, Kyle, maybe you and I can sit down this week and we'll just kind of go over like what's going, that we're going to be, what our enrollment dates are, and then when our, that we're going to be purchasing school supplies, and I forgot to put it on this time, but I will vote in August to, if you want to continue the free breakfast and lunch, and,
We did that.
did we do it? Did we do it?
I thought we did last month.
Okay, well, good for
We
you.
talked
Don't you look at my- I'm not gonna open
I don't remember if we voted.
So do we just start out free then for lunches? That was one of my questions.
Yeah, we'll just start out.
For enrollment, then they don't have to start paying.
No. And we don't really have anybody that owes anything at this point. We have like $15.
Good job, Amanda.
So on the school supplies, we were planning on the kids still getting their own backpacks.
I mean,
If they need a towel or a nap or snacks, they can do that. but
I mean,
we were getting the rest.
Kind of gets the
Well,
kids out.
I mean,
and
yeah.
something out.
No, I said it right, you just didn't hear me.
It's exciting.
Wish we'd have done that.
The only thing we haven't done is the cement. However, we can't get a hold of them.
We got somebody today. We got
You
a
did?
new somebody.
Okay.
We got somebody, the guy that did the cement underneath the football bleachers is gonna.
You got a hold of them?
Yeah, and they measured it all today. And they're gonna, and also doing the measurement for underneath.
The bleachers for the
Baseball,
baseball, softball. Okay.
And that concrete will go all the way up to the backstop. So they'll be in front of the bleachers, it
Okay.
will be a walkway there that's concrete.
Okay. That was really
So the
cool.
rocks will go away?
Do
The
what?
rocks will go away?
The rocks
Yeah.
will go
I
away.
have bless America.
They kept throwing them on the football field.
I know.
I really like that style.
It's good bad. You can stand there and police it.
Do you have anything else, Ruth?
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
And I think the high school is kind of already.
What do you got, superintendent's report, go. 17.
Update on the complex, we are, Chris from Cedar Ridge said that by the end of this week, there's a possibility they could be putting that fire
Really?
system in. He's wonderful to work with. I did find a amendment from Triart that was sent out to all the bidders that said that the fire marshal's office was not requiring any type of fire alarm system in there. And so I sent that to the fire marshal's office, and they said they had never seen that before. And thank you for letting them know, because they're gonna turn it into the state architectural board.
Nice.
Because Tri-Art obviously made some decisions for the fire.
Okay, so are we putting an X on the installation of it?
No, we are still
It has-
installing.
We are
They said it
installing.
is required. That-
Even though that we've, okay.
So they just said that was something that Tri-Art did on their own, and then it was never put out for bid. So,
Well, whoever found that amendment, kudos to them.
me,
Good job.
digging through papers like, something was like ringing, because I remember that, the one architect saying, no, it doesn't have to have anything, or it doesn't have to be anything there. I don't know, whatever. But anyway,
Are there inspections that we're gonna have to do, like?
yes, I had an email this morning from the state fire marshal's office that said, as soon as you get that in, let us know, and we'll come out and inspect.
It's a racket.
Okay.
All righty then. Any new business, 18?
No, I did just want to, before I go on, I did meet with the consulting firm from Tulsa for the Safe Sidewalks to School grant. It's a $400,000 grant that we'll be applying for in January. And it will connect with the city is looking at writing their own grant. And together we'll connect to where we will have access, our kids will have access to be able to walk from Bruce Building all the way to the AEC fields, and all in that area over there, there'll be some sidewalking done so kids can walk to school easier and safer. So as soon as he gets that gets all drawn up, I'll bring it to the board and we'll do some approving. And then if we are fortunate to get that grant, it's a 3-year process from when it's accepted, it's approved, to when we can probably see our kids walking on it. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
Awesome.
But no new business.
Okay, 18 is new business. Thank you. Sorry, didn't mean to
That's
cut you
okay.
off. Number 19, Amber's got the motion.
Second.
TJ's got the second, as usual.
Willhite?
Yes.
Allison? Littlefield?
Yes.
Keller?